Doesn't this video look like shit? So we're doing a really weird setup today. I could have just set up the camera normally. In fact, I set up this camera right here just to show you what it could have looked like, but we're not doing that today. Today we're going to be doing something thematic. I should have like a swear jar. And in the swear jar, every time I say either the words thematic or value, I put $1 in there, and then eventually I put that money towards a thesaurus. So this isn't an essay. It's more of a discussion-based video. I haven't done one of these in a little bit, but, you know, I've been meaning to make this video for forever. Because while my taste has kind of changed and the way that I watch and critique and comment on film and stuff has changed as I'm learning, as I'm finding out new stuff about myself, the thing that has remained consistent since I started liking movies is the way in which I make the content. I'm not talking about form. I'm not talking about, cinematography, because that stuff changes. I'm not talking about my editing style. Obviously, that changes. I'm talking about just, like, the reason why I make certain kinds of content. And the stuff that's going on in my head that kind of makes that, like, a thing that I want to do. Let me turn this off, because there's no need. So I guess I should go to the beginning, right? I should talk about, like, the reason why I do things the way I do. Well, it all started when I was 5 years old. I'm sorry. I was 5 and my dad was showing me and my older brother the either first or second Nightmare on Elm Street. I think that the story changes every time I tell it, but it was one of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. And knowing that a horror film such as this could potentially scar your child, my dad took a lot of moments whenever me and my brother would get scared to go, oh no, don't worry, it's fake. This isn't real. This is just, it's special effects, it's actors, there's some kind of facade to it. He didn't say the word facade because I didn't know what that meant. Which, if you think about it, you're not really supposed to do that. Like, that kind of ruins the whole thing. Like, the whole immersive thing about watching movies is that you're supposed to just treat it as its own thing. You're supposed to be inside the world of the movie. You're supposed to suspend disbelief. But, my dad, I was 5. My older brother was 7. He didn't want us to have horrible nightmares for the rest of our lives or be scarred because he was showing us an R-rated movie at 5 years old. But that's fine, dude. Don't think about that. I often credit Nightmare on Elm Street as the movie that got me into making movies. And that's true. And the reason for it is because of demystification. Basically wanting to know how the movie was made. Because, yeah, the magic was kind of ruined for me, I guess, in that case, by being told that the movie was fake and that there were actors and it was special effects. But it also made me go, like, how do they do this? Like, what is that all about? Like, what is the process behind this? And that's how I started to care about and want to know more about making movies. And because of that, I had started to kind of seek out content that would be supplemental to the films, behind the scenes content, VFX breakdowns, stuff on the surface that looked really interesting. And then after a certain point, I started to kind of get into making stuff myself about 10 years ago when I was 12 years old. And you know what? You could even look far back and you can see some of the stuff that I was into at certain points throughout the past 10 years where you could see a theme of demystification kind of like sitting in the background. Like, for a long time, I was really into machinimas, which, if you don't know, is just making movies with video games. Because, again, that's pretty demystifying. Hey, I have a copy of Halo 3. I could make stuff. And of course the Slenderverse, which I'm technically still a part of, the whole theme of that entire thing is demystification. It's anybody can make something. And it's very clear about that, I think. I mean, you can see demystification in most of the things that I make. Like, especially on my second channel, like, there's all sorts of behind the scenes content. And even some of my essays, which I'm sure many of you have asked yourselves on certain occasions why I make so many videos talking about myself. But I guess the main reason why I keep going back to this is because I want to make sure that other people feel similarly to how I did when I first started. I want them to feel encouraged, I guess. Because at the end of the day, my content isn't for anybody but myself. And that's not to say I don't obviously appreciate the fact that people enjoy my stuff and that people watch my stuff and that people give me money. But yeah, generally I make the stuff for myself, even the stuff where I talk about myself, because it's supposed to be this kind of archive of like the progress I'm making and the stuff I'm learning. I like to look back and kind of like just see what I learn and how I have grown. But at the same time, the big reason why that stuff started being made in the first place was because I wanted to make sure that others could see my progress. So it's not for you guys, but it also is. So that doesn't make any fucking sense. I forgot to tell you guys I actually started censoring myself again because I forgot to do that for a whole year. Even my earliest behind the scenes content was me kind of demystifying the process, announcing when new videos were coming out, making trailers. You guys know about that stuff from some of my inherent filmmaking essays, but generally the whole thing is that I liked to make content talking about my content because should anybody younger than me, or even people my age that had never considered making stuff, would see those videos and go, oh wait, I could probably make stuff too. And then I started to realize that as I was growing and as my content was growing, the style of my secondary channel stuff was also starting to grow. Because what it used to be was just, like the standard DVD bonus feature type stuff you would see, VFX breakdowns, commentary tracks, other stuff like that would just talk about like the production aspects of film. But then I started to go to film school, and the first thing that I thought was, oh, this is out of normal people's reach. And then I started to treat it like it was some big elitist thing. Like, oh, only certain people could understand this. Oh, the educated can only really understand that this is how movies are supposed to be, and this is technically how it's supposed to be and how it works. And then I finished my second year of school, and I thought, wow, that's really dumb. There's more to movies than that. This isn't the reason I started liking movies, and this wasn't where I found value in movies. I don't have $1. Once I had gotten over that initial culture shock, I guess, of learning more about film, I realized I could maybe demystify some of this stuff too. And that's why a lot of the essay stuff started, and a lot of the discussion videos started, and just all sorts of different kinds of videos where I try to break stuff down even more. It's one of the reasons why I make those what I learned in film school is videos, because I like the idea of being able to just kind of share what I learned. Not necessarily for the sake of teaching anything. Like, I'm not trying to actually teach people, like, the fundamentals of film and stuff like that, like, just outright. I'm just trying to show people that, like, this stuff isn't as scary or foreign as you might think it is upon first glance. The real answer to the question, why do I make the stuff that I make, is because I like my stuff. And I like myself, and I'm comfortable with the stuff that I make because it's the stuff that I want to make. And my goal, apart from archiving that, is to make sure that others feel that way. Others feel comfortable making stuff. Others feel like they can make stuff. So if you see a bunch of videos getting uploaded on my channel where I talk at length about what I'm learning in school, or talking at length about, how I did something that nobody really asked for, I just want to make sure that someone out there, if they were to see it, would say, oh, sick. That's really interesting. I didn't even think about that way. Maybe this isn't so out of my reach. And lastly, just in case you're asking yourself, hey, aren't you a little nervous that you're going to, like, demystify it to the point where, like, you ruin the magic? Like, somebody will watch your videos and will no longer think about the entertainment side of film? No, I don't, because I know too many people in my own life that are so unbelievably disconnected from the creative side of film, even though it's all accessible. Like, a person will watch a movie and then a behind the scenes thing will start or will be available to them and they won't look at it. So I would just assume that people that aren't interested won't look at it. Whereas the point of my stuff would just be to make sure that stuff is accessible. I want to make sure people, if they want to know more, have the opportunity to learn more. And that's that. So yeah, that was my kind of long-winded discussion about the merits of demystifying content. I've wanted to talk about this forever, and I was thinking about doing an essay about it for a long time, but I figure it would probably sound a little bit more legitimate coming just from me. I did kind of pre-write some stuff about this, so a lot of that pre-written stuff was in my head, so I didn't ramble, because as you guys may or may not know, if I am unscripted completely, I am a complete and utter disaster when it comes to speech. Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this kind of facade-shattering video, this meta setup thing where you could see everything in the room, because that makes it just good. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, as always. If you like this video, feel free to do all the stuff. You could like it, you could subscribe, you could contribute to my Patreon. But yeah, I hope you guys are having a great week, and still haven't found an outro for vlogs, but I'll tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to cut to black again, because that is bullshit.